Welcome to EPG Pathshala Philosophy. I am Satchidanand Mishra from Banaras Hindu University. I am working in the Department of Philosophy and Religion. I am going to introduce you this technical terms in Navya paper first, and this is the paper Logic 2. So in this, the objective of this module is to make you acquainted with some technical terms of Navya. There are many technical terms of Navya which you are introduced to in last chapters, last modules, like Paksha, Sadhya, Hetu, etc. But those, if are not understood in relation with each other, you cannot understand completely the Navya logic. And in order to understand Navya logic, it is very necessary that you must understand the concept of relation first. So what is the concept of relation? We are going to discuss in this module, and what are the kinds of relations and how those are reflecting in our inferential process. All these will be introduced in this module. So this is actually a very crucial concept in Navya because understanding a relation, one cannot understand the relation between Sadhya and Hetu, and one cannot understand even a relation between Paksha and Hetu and Paksha and Sadhya. There, and every time whenever one is trying to infer something in the Paksha, it is very necessary to understand what relation is there and from what relation one is inferring the Sadhya in Paksha. Therefore, the concept of relation is very important and it is very necessary to understand in this, and those points are going to be discussed in this module. So first of all, we will discuss what relation is. Actually, relation is understood as a proximity, as something which is related to one another. When there are two things and when one is understood in relation with another, in only that situation one can understand a relation, and the concept of relation is taken from Navya Bhasha Pradeep. And in this Navya Bhasha Pradeep, the concept of relation is taken very clearly, very beautifully explained, and that point, those points we are going to refer. And relation actually plays very important role in understanding the exact significance of the basics of Navya. And it must be noted here that Navya system is utterly realistic system, and hence relation is also as much real as all other things are there. So in that case, without understanding those concepts, you cannot understand those issues. So if you take relation as a property, as a something which binds two things, and this relation is actually something which binds two things, and when those two things are understood in relation with each other, then we can understand the concept of relation. And what is this relation? In Navya Bhasha Pradeep, it is explained that relation is something which is understood as proximity, and these relations are basically it is closeness or proximity. And what is this closeness and what is this proximity? And actually many times it is said that relation is something which is between two things. So it is simply taken for granted that relation should be understood as something which binds two things together, and when these two things are understood in relation with each other, then the relation is coming into play. Like an example we can take, a man with a stick. So in this case there is a relation between a stick and the man, and the relation is here actually contact, sanjog. In Sanskrit it is called sanjog, and because this sanjog is there, this contact is there, therefore we can understand that the stick is a qualifier of the person who is qualificand. So qualifier and qualificandness, these two things, qualifierness and qualificandness, are very important concepts in Nyaya, because all our knowledge process takes place in this form where there is something understood as a qualifier and something else is understood as a qualificand, and without something playing a role of relation, nothing can be understood as a qualifier and as a qualificand. So when you are inferring something, there must be something as a qualifier and something else as a qualificand, and in order to determine the qualifier and the qualificand, this is the necessity that there must be a relation. So if there hadn't been a relation between the stick and the man, that is, if there hadn't been the contact between the stick and the man, you cannot understand that the man is the qualificand and the stick is the qualifier. So this point in to understand man as a qualificand and stick as a qualifier, and in this way, because you understand this cognition takes place in this scenario only, when one is understood as a qualifier and another as a qualificand. Therefore the relation is a point must be understood. So in this area, this example can be understood in this way, because there is a relation between man and stick. Man is becoming a qualificand, and in the qualificand is called in Sanskrit Visheshya, and a qualifier is understood as Visheshan. This is a qualifier, and contact, the name for some relation is Sansarg actually, and this is a special special kind of Sansarg, a special kind of relation is here, and this is contact. So this contact plays a role to determine who will be the qualifier and who will be the qualificand. So this relation cannot be understood as between two things only, because it has one arrow. It has to, it is something to relate one to another. This is to say, if there are two things and between them there is a relation, if there are two hands and between these two hands there is a relation, conjunction or contact, this contact would not be understood as in that way a relation. It is a relation, but not that way a relation which plays a role in inference. So in short, main function of relation is that it assigns the status of qualifier and qualificand to two different things and produces a qualified cognition. This is known as Vishishta Jnana, qualified cognition, because when something is understood as a Visheshana, this is Visheshana Jnana, and something is understood as Visheshya, that is only as a qualificand, it is considered as a Visheshya Jnana. And if there is a cognition where something is understood qualified by a qualifier, then it is considered as a Vishishta Jnana, and all Vishishta Jnanas are there, and those Vishishta cognitions, Vishishta Jnanas play the important role in our behavior. So these relations are actually basically two kinds of relations. One is direct relation and another is indirect relations. All these relations can be classified in these two branches, these two groups, direct relations and indirect relations. So what are direct relations? Simply saying, this in Sanskrit the term is there Sakshat Sambandha, and direct relation is understood as Sakshat Sambandh. So when there is a relation between two things without intervention of anything else, that relation is considered as direct relation, Sakshat Sambandh. And if there is a relation between two things but that relation is in need of intervention of something else, so this is to say, if there is a relation and in that relation there is another relation is playing a role, that relation would be considered as indirect relation. So directly, if there is an indirect relation, there must be direct relations. But if there is a direct relation, there is not the necessity that there must be indirect relations. So there are examples we can understand simply, that there is a there is a contact of our hand to the wall or to the table or to the book. So if my hand is conjoined to the wall, my hand is conjoined to the book, then there is a direct relation between my hand and the wall or between my hand and the book. But when I touch the wall with my hand, when I touch the book with my hand, in that case there is another relation, and that relation is between my body and the wall. Naiyayikas make a very clear-cut distinction between avayava and avayavi, between parts and whole. So if there is a conjunction between parts and an object, and between parts and a subject, in that case there must be another conjunction between whole and the substance. So in this case our hand is actually the part of our body and the wall is a substance. So if there is a conjunction between hand and the wall, in that case another conjunction would be generated, would be caused by this conjunction itself, and that conjunction is known as conjunction of our body. So here in this case you can say that the body is conjoined to the wall through our hand, because there is a relation between body and hand, and body is the avayavi and hand is the avayava. So body and avayavi, between these two there is a relation inherence, and our hand is related to the wall directly. So my body is related to directly with my hand, and my hand is related to the wall directly. But if you are talking how my body is related to the wall, it would be considered as an indirect relation, because it is actually an extended relation. The two direct relations are forming an indirect relation. So this relation is an indirect relation. So if there is an indirect relation, there must be many direct relations, because any indirect relation cannot be there without direct relations. But those direct relations may form one indirect relation. So this is the case of direct and indirect relation. So there are some other classifications of this relation. One is considered as nitya relation and anitya relation. This is the another way of classifying these relations: eternal relations and non-eternal relations. So there is only one eternal relation, that is samvaya, inherence. And actually when we talk about samvaya as being an eternal relation, we are not talking in the same sense as we talk about that there are certain things which are eternal. In that sense this sambandh is not eternal, it is not talked in that sense actually. But this is the point to be understood here, that when there are two things, these two relations cannot be understood separately, differently. So direct relation and indirect relation, this is the one way to differentiate between two things. And in direct relation there is a the relators are directly related with the relation, and there is nothing else. But if there is a parampara sambandh, this is called parampara sambandh in Sanskrit. If there is an indirect relation, these two things are related through another relation, therefore this is called parampara sambandh, this is called indirect relation. So relation having some other relatum or relata in between, then it would be considered as an indirect relation. So these direct relations can be divided further into contact, inherence and self-linking relation. So these three are very basic classification, very basic kinds of relations. Contact, it is a very famous. Whenever we understand simply that this is a relation, we simply understand that this is a contact. And actually when we are introduced with a relation, we are introduced with the relation contact simply. So these are examples how we can understand these relations, direct relations, if there is a case of inherence. So if we take one example, the handsome man. So here handsomeness is actually a quality which is present in man, and you will be introduced later in this module that between quality and the substance there is a relation inherence. In between them there is a relation inherence. So this is one case, and this inherence is actually nitya relation. And why it is nitya relation, why it is eternal relation, you will be introduced later. And contact is possible only between two substances, like between two hands, my one hand is connected with another, and in this case there is a contact of this hand to another, and there is a water in the pot. If I say there is a water in the pot, in this case there is a relation contact between water and the pot. So because water is also a substance and the pot is also a substance, therefore there is a possibility of contact being the relation. So these two, and another is self-linking relation, and for this word we have Sanskrit term known as Swarupa Sambandha. Swarup means self, and Roop means nature. So this is to say the self is the nature of this relation. In this case this is considered as Swarup Sambandha, and the basic idea behind this concept is that there are certain examples where you cannot find another kind of relation, and there are justifications. Let us take one example here, like there is an absence of pot on the ground. So there is no pot on the ground when you say, so there is an absence of pot on the ground. So ground is the substratum and the absence of pot is the superstratum. This is to say this absence is present on the ground by the relation Swarupa Sambandha. This Swarup Sambandha is a relation through which this absence is considered as a qualifier of the ground, because ground is qualificand and the absence is qualifier, and without being any relation, it is no way possible that something would be a qualifier and another would be a qualificand unless there is a relation. So this relation comes into play here, and the relation is actually self-linking relation, Swarup Sambandha. And why it is considered as Swarup Sambandha, this is another way to deal with, another point to discuss. Why there is a need of self-linking relation? Actually self-linking relation is required because if you go on saying that there is a relation between two things, so there is an objection raised by philosophers that if you are saying, suppose there is A and B, between A and B there is a relation C, so the question could come into play, could be raised that if C is related to B and A or not. If C is related to B and A, then you must say that yes, C is related to A and B. Unless C is related to A and B, C cannot be a relation between A and B. So how there is a relation? And if you told that okay, there is a relation between A and C, and there is also a relation between C and B, so there will be another question that there should be another relation, because if there is a relation C between A and B, and there is a relation between A and C, that is D, and between C and B there is a relation E, so there will be more relations, and there will be infinite regress ad infinitum. There will not be any place where you can stay, you can end this doubt, you can end this debate. Therefore Nayayikas come into play with an idea that actually there are some relations which do not require any other relation, and that is the relation, because if you say contact is a quality, so contact is a quality, this contact is related to a substance by a relation samvaya, that is sanjog is related to dravya with the relation samvaya. Contact is related to a substance with the relation inherence, But if you ask how inherence is related to the substance, the question would come here, and the answer is provided that there is no need of introducing another relation between inherence and the substance, because either the inherence or the substratum would play the role of self-linking relation, and the self-linking relation is nothing but it doesn't require anything to be introduced to play the role of relation. So without anything else, this can play the role of relation, and without any other relation, this relation is possible there. So another point here, samvaya is considered another padartha. Samvaya is not a quality, not an action, but this is a sixth category in Kanada's padarthas, because in Kanada, in Vaisheshik philosophy, we accept that there are 7 padarthas: dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha, samvaya and abhava. So these 7 padarthas are there, and samvaya inherence is sixth of them. So this sixth is a kind of padartha which is considered as a relation, because without any other role to play, the inherence comes into play. So this inherence is a relation, but inherence doesn't need another relation to say that it is related to another. But there are certain things, as there is a rule that only 2 substances can have the relation contact. In the same way, there are certain rules where only it is possible to have this relation inherence, and it is said that ayuta siddhayoho sambandha samvaya. This samvaya sambandh is between only ayuta siddha. That is to say, what is the concept of ayuta siddha? The relation of or between the two which cannot be separated from each other. In different terms, it could be said that that relation would be considered as ayuta siddha sambandha. The relation between ayuta siddha, those two things are considered to be ayuta siddha, which yayor dvayor madhye ekam avinashyat aparashritam eva avatishtete. Between those two, if one is not being destroyed, in so far it is not getting destroyed, it will be there depending upon other. In that case only those two things are considered ayuta siddha. So this is the idea of ayuta siddha, and between two ayuta siddha there is a relation inherence, and there are only 5 pairs where this relation is possible. One is that guna and guni, that is to say quality and substance. Between quality and substance there is a relation inherence, because in so far the quality has to exist, it must exist depending upon the substance. Without depending upon the substance, equality cannot exist at all. Therefore, between quality and the substance, we accept that there is a relation inherence. Another example is given, kriya and kriyavan, action and the active substance. So you can see, you can observe that there is a relation between this moving fan and this movement. So this movement is the action and the moving fan is the active substance. So in so far the movement has to exist, it must exist in the fan. It cannot exist leaving the fan. So in so far the action has to exist, it must be there in the fan. Therefore between them there is a relation inherence. Jati and Vyakti. It is another example where it is taken that Jati and Vyakti, universal and individual. So between universal and individual there is a relation inherence, because in so far the individual has to exist, it must exist endowed with a universal. Therefore there is a relation inherence. Another example is there, avyavi and avayav, whole and parts. Between whole and parts there is a relation inherence. You can see that actually there are threads and there is a cloth. Cloth is the whole and the threads are the parts. So the cloth cannot exist leaving the threads. In threads it must exist. Without threads it cannot. So these two are Ayut Siddha, and there is a relation inherence. Another pair is Vishesh and Nitya Dravya, and Vishesh is particularity, ultimate differentiators, and Nitya Dravya eternal substance. So between particularity, ultimate differentiator, and eternal substance, there is a relation inherence. So these are only 5 cases where it is possible to have a relation known as inherence. So contact we had discussed earlier. Contact is possible only between 2 substances. This is to say, if these 2 entities both are not substances, then there cannot be a relation known as contact. So contact is possible only if there are 2 entities and both of them are substances. So no other example qualifies to have a relation as a contact between them. So if the example we had taken earlier, that there is a pot and water, and between pot and water there is a relation contact, because water can exist without the pot, and pot can exist without water. So these two are not Ayuta Siddha, so there is no need of introducing a kind of relation inherence, but they can exist separately without being affected with each other, without another. Therefore between 2 substances only contact is possible, and if there is a product which can be produced, destroyed, that would be there with the relation. So in this category, gunas cannot exist by the relation inherence, only substance can be there by the relation inherence. So we have talked just now self-linking relations, Swarup Sambandha. So here self-linking relation is there between Adheya, that is between located, and the locus. Adhar, Adhe and Adhar. So there is a pot on the table, so there is a book on the table. So book is the Adheya, this is located, and the locus of book is the table. So between them there is a relation, you can say there is a relation, but this relation is sanyoga, because pot is there, the pot is substance, the table is substance, the book is substance, and the table is substance. But if there is an absence of pot, an absence of book on the table, so between that absence and table there can't be any relation like inherence or contact. So another kind of relation is introduced here, that is Swarupa Sambandha. So when we say that there is an absence of pot, grihe patavhava, there is no pot, there is no cloth in the house. So in this case the absence of cloth is there in the house, and this absence of cloth is the qualifier of the house, and between house and absence of cloth there is a relation. This relation is nothing but actually because there are 2 things here. One is the absence, and the house is there, and the Nayayikas as well as the Vaisheshikas hold that as much as real the house is, in the same way the absence is also as much as real. So these 2 things are, both of them are real, and between them there is a relation, Swarup Sambandha. This is called self-linking relation. So if you can say that if there is a case inherence and the substance, between inherence and substance there is a relation, self-linking relation, this is Swarup Sambandha, because without this Swarup Sambandha this is not possible that this samvaya is related to the substance. So all other cases are there, and in all these cases we accept that there is a self-linking relation. In case of absence there is a self-linking relation in case of samvaya. So these 2 are very famous examples where we try to find out what is the justification of self-linking relation, because this question could arise there very clearly, that why there is a relation, why we accept that the absence is related to the pot, or why the absence is related to the ground. If the absence is not related to the relation itself. So in order to answer this question very simply, the Naiyayikas answer that actually we need not accept a relation which is related to both of them, but in these cases we can accept very easily that actually only the bhutal or the ground or the absence itself can play the role of relation. So these two are related, and these are the relation between them is self-linking relation. Okay, another case is understood here as Sarup Sambandh is also known as Visheshanata Sambandh. Visheshanata is also a kind of Sambandh because there are some other Sambandhas, some other relations which are considered as Visheshanata Sambandh, Sarup Sambandh, and this Visheshanata means the nature of Visheshana, nature of qualifier. So Sarup Sambandh as Visheshanata can be understood, and many times Sarup Sambandh can be understood as Visheshyata, the nature of Visheshya, nature of the qualificand. So nature of qualifier is also Sarup Sambandh, or nature of qualificand is also a Sarup Sambandh. So this Sambandh plays very important role when we perceive an object, because in Nyaya theory of perception there is a very detailed examination where detailed explanations about what kinds of sannikarsas are there and how our sense organ is connected to the object it perceives. Because if there is no connection, if there is no relation, connection is nothing but a relation. So if there is no relation at all, how our eyes are not able to perceive the objects which are beyond this wall, which are beyond this door, but only those things which are present in this room we can perceive. The Naiyayikas say that actually this happens only because there is a relation between the object perceived and our visual sense organ or other sense organs. Because there is a relation, there is a connection between them, therefore we are able to perceive the objects which are there in this room, and there are certain channels, certain connections, and the connections here are introduced like direct relations. There are many direct relations, and some indirect relations are also there, like Sanjukta Samvaya, and here we have made one indirect relation like Sanjukta Samvaya, and this Sanjukta Samvaya is an indirect relation, and Sanjog is a direct relation. So in that way we can understand very easily that how this concept plays a role in understanding the Nyaya process of knowledge, in production of knowledge. When we acquire a cognition, in that cognition, in that case of cognitive event, there is a role, and that role must be played by a relation. In perception also the relation plays a role, and in inferential process also the role plays a very important, the relation plays a very important role. Like if you are inferring the fire in the mountain, so you can say that when you infer fire in the mountain, what is the relation between fire and the mountain? Between fire and mountain, the relation is their contact. Contact plays the role of relation, and it is understood as sadhyata vachedak sambandh, the delimiter of sadhyata, the delimiter of provenness, what is to be proved. So actually in mountain fire is to be proved, and through which relation? What is the relation you are going to prove the presence of fire in the mountain? Because there are many possibilities. In many cases the fire could be present somewhere with another relation, and there are some other cases. So here precisely we have to understand what is the relation you are inferring something through which. What relation you are wanting to infer something. So if there is an inference like this, Parvatah Vanniman Dhumat, so here the smoke is present in the mountain by the relation contact, and the fire is to be proved in the mountain by the relation contact, not by the relation inherence nor any other relation. So these this understanding is very important in understanding the Nyaya process of inference. So let us sum up this module. In this module we have discussed the idea of relation and how this idea of relation is important in the process of inference, and many relations we have discussed: the relation contact, indirect relation, direct relation, and there are different kinds of direct relations: contact, inherence, and so on. There are so many indirect relations, and you can refer to the e-text which is written in this module, and we will cover some other chapter, other points about indirect relation in next module. Thank you.